Hey, what's up guys? It's your boy, I Read Reddit. Today, I'm going to be reading ProRevenge stories. Now, this is one of my favorite subreddits, and I really enjoyed making this one. So sit back, relax, and enjoy it guys. I hope you love it. So, our first post is by Lady Stoneheart, titled, Mom called girls tramps because her son harassed them. She then gets a taste of her own medicine. So, I finally have the best revenge story for you guys. This story started about 1 week ago, and the revenge part started 3 days ago. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible, but this is going to be long. A new family moved into a few buildings, down from ours. They seemed normal at first, and didn't interact or socialize with anyone else other than their direct neighbors. Most of the people living in these buildings have been living here for a lot of years and know each other very well. Now to the story. The son is a creep. He harassed a lot of girls and women this past month or so. He's about 17 to 18 years old. He passed lewd remarks, whistles, catcalls, tries to grope, pushes and elbows people around, follows girls and women around as well. He followed and tried to grope a 14-year-old girl who told her mum. Her mum talked to the other mums before approaching the jerk mum, aka that son's mum. The mothers found out that many of the girls had been at the receiving end of his harassment. Even older women than him, and newlywed women. The remarks he passed around were very vulgar and crass to say the least. The mums visited the jerk's mother to talk about it on Sunday, and guess what she said? "Tell your daughters to not dress like tramps. What is my son supposed to do? Do they pray like they're goddesses? They will get what they deserve. My son is only talking. Keep an eye on your daughters, otherwise other men will do more than just talk." Yes, she said this. When they told her that he was also harassing married women, she said, "Ask these newlyweds to keep their sexy side for their husbands in their bedroom." Needless to say, everyone was ticked off. All the girls got together and sent messages to his college friends and groups on social media about his behavior. But it's the boys and young adult men, specifying because they're all 18 to 19 years old, that stole the cake. They immediately started buddying up to the kid and congratulating him on getting away with being a hero. He certainly felt very proud of it and full of himself, and from Tuesday evening, the revenge party started. Some of these guys, along with that son, were standing near the gate of his building's entrance when the jerk's mother arrives from her work. As soon as she came near them, all the guys started making remarks at her very loudly. Some of these included, "Auntie, keep your sexy side for uncle in the bedroom. If you walk this way, then I'll have to come with you. Hey, look back here, palat palat palat," and more. Most of what they said, these words uttered by the actual son himself, and the jerk mother herself too. The son was mortified and angry, but couldn't do more than cuss at them and leave because there were about 4 to 5 guys. This is continued every day, twice a day. In the morning when she leaves for work, in the evening when she returns, and whenever someone comes across her when she's out for whatever reason. She has received comments on the way she dresses, the way she walks, the time when she comes home, etc. All of this is done in front of her son, and whenever he objects, he is told to keep his trampy mum in check because the guys are only talking. What are they supposed to do, pray to her? Finally, the son broke down and cried yesterday, but he didn't apologize for his actions. He just called the girls and guys names and left. The jerk's mum tried to approach the parents of the boys, and to her dismay found out most of the boys were brothers, or neighbors to the girls whom the son had harassed. Quite a few mothers also told her not to be trampy, as it was a bad influence to their sons. One awesome dad shut the door on their face, saying that he doesn't want to talk to women who cannot parent their children. PSA, I live in India, so most of the conversation was in Hindi or Marathi. Also, it's a crime to catcall or harass women, even though complaints aren't made about it all the time. Our next story was posted by user Aviarn, titled, "Can't fix my computer? We'll fix your department." This story started brewing a while ago, and as a matter of fact, has 3 different sides of the story that I'd love to highlight here. Starting off nearly 10 years ago, I started to study in IT with a lot of my friends. Being nerds ever since middle school, it was inevitable to happen. Most of us were in different classes though, one into software, while the other one was in the hardware field of expertise. We know most of each other still very well to this day, to which I'm glad that school friendships last this long. This is important for later. Couple of years later, when I got work, I finally got myself a budget to really unpack for some good quality gaming laptops, since most of my laptops were just cheap brands and models from my local computer store. I got myself a laptop, including an additional RAM card pre-installed, which in total was worth nearly $2,000. Except for it not having a 4K screen, it had the best specs for a gaming laptop at that time. It was an expensive investment, but felt so good when I realized its power. But this joy was not long to last. My computer had a factory malfunction. It wasn't notable at first, but the issue escalated as time went on. Since the warranty for these matters were 2 years, I saw no rush, but at a certain point I thought enough is enough. One summer, I brought my laptop to the store in order to let it go by for repairs. I did my Google research on what was happening, and it seemed that my graphics card had a known fabrication error in its production line. But that was easily fixed, as producers using these graphics cards have been made aware of this. For the geeks among us, I had a laptop with NVIDIA N60M graphics card. This card had issues that on a certain GPU usage, you could see black lines flashing in, or even worse, the screen started flickering. 3 weeks later, yes, it genuinely took 3 weeks, I get a call from the store I bought my laptop at, saying that it was ready for a pickup. I was relieved, as this waiting time was unusual for repairs. By this time, I'd made a friend at my local board game store that also happened to work at the store I bought my laptop from. We'll call him Tom. Tom and I had gaming sessions a couple of times, as he was also invested into online games a lot, and so we got well connected. But a month in, it happened again. My video card was acting up again. Tom explained to me that this was likely just a plug from the video card not being properly connected to the motherboard, or that a connector had dust in between. The easier fix was just to open it and clean it, but 1. Support forums showed that this was a global issue with this graphics card model. 2. As per the terms of service of their store, opening your laptop forfeits the right for warranty, as there's no proof anymore if something is your own fault or not. I decided not to risk it and let the professionals handle it, so once again, I sent it to the store. Tom messages me later saying they delivered it right away to the manufacturer, like they usually do. Another 3 weeks of waiting and being unable to do anything digitally. By now it had become winter, and from some other people of my local board game store, we scheduled to meet up in order to play Dungeons & Dragons. To my surprise, I saw that the host, we'll call him Harry, was using a laptop for DMing, music, information, etc., and that laptop was the exact same brand and model as mine was. After our first session, I got a talk with Harry and slowly turned into the direction of our laptops. Harry confirmed he had this too, but had never bothered to get it repaired as it wasn't obstructing his usage, plus relied on having one too much. But as you can guess, when my laptop was returned, it was not fixed. Whatever competence or information their repair department had, it did not apply, for as I still struggled with it. Never got the part replaced or repaired. We're only now a little more than 2 years ago from present day, and my laptop got serious damage from another party. Someone closed the laptop with a cable still between the screen and the case, causing the screen to get ripped out of its hinges. The laptop still kinda worked, but I couldn't open it. Time to get this repaired, for real this time. I handed in my laptop at the store and get it delivered to the manufacturer. 2 weeks passed, nothing. 3 weeks passed, nothing. 5 weeks passed. I grow impatient and step to Tom before we both go towards the store. They told us that we need to contact the manufacturer, and so I decide to make an angry call and mail it them. After much of a hassle, the manufacturer loops me back to the store as they're not allowed to share information towards their product owners when their products are sold via a store. Yeah. Next day arrives when I go back to the store, until I heard the terrifying and horrifying news. My laptop was deemed irreparable. I requested my laptop to be returned, as it's still my property, to which they can't, as they say that, as part of it being declared irreparable, it's already been destroyed. I was seething because I'd signed no contract or anything of the sorts, that I had officially distanced myself from the product, but had to sign it if I wanted to become eligible for a full refund. They gave me the money back I paid for it, but not the extra RAM card that I bought it with, yet which I did end up getting destroyed too by the manufacturer. To this day, it still aggravates me intensely that they handled my product like this, and I wanted to sue them for destroying owned property, but we had no case as I didn't buy the laptop from their manufacturer, but from a distributor instead, and they did up refunding. Plus, I'd already signed the contract before I browsed that option. But you're here for the revenge, aren't you? Enter Michael, one of my classmates from school all those years ago. When I was with the last finishing up business on customer support, I noticed a very familiar name under the greeting liner of the bottom of the mail. Coincidences could not exist. It's not the person, just a similar name. But I entered contact with them after having been out of touch for a long while. It was actually him. He said that he only recently works for the computer repairs department of the manufacturer. We got a talk here and there and explained how their process works. In short, he explained that a product is deemed irreparable if it's been delivered 3 times and still could not find a solution for it. He knows nothing, however, of the destruction of the laptop, as this goes through different people. Michael also explained that he was not at all happy with how his colleagues were operating. Our studies were educating us with moderate working standards, but the people he worked with were horrid. Repairs took very long, not the initial repairs, just the process time, which was always the maximum legal time span by the book. Sometimes repairs were very sloppy, had no communication with customers about the issue, and often is something that could not be properly repaired, they just send it back and marked it as fixed. Also, per their manufacturer's standard, they put a crapload of adware on your product, programs that usually come pre-installed upon purchasing a computer. I was shocked to hear that this was happening behind the scenes, and no longer surprises me, but moreover disgusts me now. This is how and why my laptop was gone for so long and returned without any improvements. But so, we hatched a plan. Since it's been some time, Harry's laptop had fallen redundant and no longer used it. I asked him where it was and said it was just collecting dust somewhere. He couldn't sell it since it had a fabrication issue, but I had a very bright plan with it. I told him my plan and he just gave it to me together with a sly grin of approval. Together with Harry and Tom, we cleaned out the laptop and made it look as much as possible that it looks like a typical gamer's laptop. Note that this one was bought much later than mine, and so was still within the 2-year warranty. I also brought Michael up to date about what our plan was. He laughed as we told our plan, and was fully supporting the idea. The laptop was clearly also suffering from the same graphics issues, and so we sent it for repair. To no surprise, it came back 3 weeks later with no improvement. Strike 1. We then sent it back again after a week, and as you guess, it came back 3 weeks later. No change. Strike 2. I instructed Harry to retrieve the proof of purchase, and we sent out the laptop for the 3rd and final repair. As we all guessed, this one did not come back after 3 weeks, and in week 4 we made our call with the manufacturer. Similar to what happened with me, Harry also heard that his laptop was deemed irreparable, and when asked for it to be returned, it was destroyed. He was offered a full refund if he would sign the contract for distancing himself from the product, but this time, he refused. We had a clear shot to sue them now, and we took it. It took us a week or 2, but we actually ended up acing our case, and got them sued for unauthorized destruction of property. His proof of purchase and their lack of proof that we had signed any form of contract gave them no right to destroy our property. We got a full refund plus additional money for the emotional and digital damages, as there were files on our laptop. He gave me the money I lost for my RAM card that was destroyed, and the rest was spent in some good quality gaming. A week later I hit up Michael again to ask how things went. It turned out that most of the employees in the repair department were fired, due to the lack of service compliance and quality at their direct responsibility, including those that had their say in whether a product was reparable or not. Most of the thorns in his working floor were gone now. The 4 of us oftentimes talk about it to this day, each time ending with a laugh, but we could not find any better way to execute this. The shipping here costs nothing because it was all paid for by the manufacturer, so long as it's only for returns and repairs. And so the only thing we invested into this is time. Time that was very, very well spent. Our next story was posted by user Scorpyon with a Y. Titled, So You Think You Like Chocolate? Hi everyone. I've lurked here for some time and loved all the stories, but this is my first time posting a story. This tale of parental revenge was actually brought to my mind after reading the great tale by Delicious Malediction, and it is of similar nature, so I'll begin. I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, a time when the best things in life were Saturday morning television and shops that sold sweets that you could actually afford with your pocket money, and I had a very sweet tooth. Growing up, you'd never describe me as a thin kid. While I wasn't a boy mountain, I was certainly chubby. My mom used to use the phrase big boned a lot, like Cartman. I only realized later in my life that this was an attempt to be polite about my weight, and I was in fact a chunky monkey. In any case, like all kids, I loved a good chocolate bar, Penguin, Club, or my personal favorite, a Crunchy. I was the third child in my family of 6 kids, and we were all fairly close in age, so it meant that my mum had to stay at home to look after all of us, while my dad worked hard to support the family. As a teacher, he didn't earn a lot, so treats such as chocolate bars were exactly that, a treat. They were expensive, even back then, and with my dad's wage, not just something that could be consumed whenever we wanted. They were for packed lunches and packed lunches only. Not that my sugar-craving adolescent mind knew or even cared about such things, of course. No, there were chocolate bars in the cupboard and I was hungry, so I munched on a few without a care in the world, indulging in that chocolate-fueled sugar rush that only a child truly knows. Not all of them, but enough to be noticed. When my mum found out, she was miffed. Old Southern English word, it means peed off. Because my dad worked long hours and was away all day, it was usually left for my mother to do the punishments at home, and when he found out what had happened, he was really annoyed. Money was always tight, and the idea of wasting money upset him more than virtually anything in those days. My mother also had the voice, whereas my dad was much more quiet and passive, so naturally, we were more terrified of our mum's vocal outbursts than anything. Needless to say, I got an earful from her that night. I guess they thought that that was that, and I'd learned my lesson. Obviously, they didn't understand the call for the chocolate bar. Sure enough, the following week, after the shopping arrived, there in the cupboard was a fresh new pack of clubs. Coming home from school that day, it was hot and I was hungry from playing football in the park for the last hour or so. I opened the cupboard and helped myself. I didn't mean to eat as many as I did. Maybe it was sugar madness, who knows. But the fact was, the club bars were all but gone, before I realized what I had done. I buried the wrappers deep in the bin, hoping to conceal the obvious evidence of my crime, but there would be no getting away with it. When my mum came to make the lunches that evening, she would notice the glaring gap in the cupboard where the chocolate bars should have been. I steeled myself for the oncoming storm and went to my room. Sure enough, that evening my mother's voice called out from downstairs,
"RP, can you come to the kitchen, please?"
I gingerly made my way downstairs to the kitchen, where my mother had all the empty lunchboxes for us laid out, and the cupboard was open with my crime fully visible to see. "Did you eat all the chocolate bars again?" she asked. She didn't seem angry, just inquisitive. I was a little puzzled and slightly confused by this. My young and naive brain didn't spot the reverse psychological word trap. Thinking maybe I was actually going to escape from this with my ears intact, I nodded slowly. "Yeah, sorry," I mumbled. "I was hungry." "I see," my mum said, straightening up with a more determined look on her face. "Okay, well, I've thought about this, and since you appear to love chocolate so much, Dad and I think we'll let you eat as much chocolate as you want from now on." My eyes goggled. What? Really? I was utterly confused. This is the most amazing thing I'd ever heard. All the chocolate I wanted, whenever I wanted? "Yes," my mum replied, with a glint in her eye that I did not catch, once again. "As much chocolate as you want. Every meal from now on, you can have chocolate. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Chocolate, and only chocolate." My young teenage brain raced with this news and I couldn't believe my luck. Chocolate every day? This would be heaven. The next day, my mum made spaghetti bolognese, my favorite meal. It smelled amazing as we all sat down at the family dinner table to eat. Mom dished up big helpings to my siblings. As I held up my plate though, forgetting the day's previous agreement, my mom deftly plonked a penguin bar on my plate. "There you are, OP. Enjoy your meal," she said, smiling pleasantly. I was slightly cautious now. Could I have some spaghetti as well?" I asked slowly. "Nope," my mum said. "Chocolates only, as we agreed. There's more chocolate bars here if you want them." So I ate my chocolate bar, while my siblings goggled at me. There were some cries of annoyance and disbelief from my younger brothers, who also wanted chocolate, but they were silenced by my mum and dad, who told them chocolate was just for me today. Feeling a little confused, but still happy, I ate my chocolate bar. It didn't fill me up much, so I had another one to top it off. Strangely, it didn't taste quite as good as the first one though. The next day at school, when the lunch bell rang, I had a look in my lunchbox. In the box was a bottle of water and 3 Mars bars. That was all. I ate them and felt a little sick afterwards, but all the other kids on my table treated me like a king for having so much chocolate in my lunchbox. That evening, for dinner, Mum had made a big roast meal, another favorite in our house. As we sat at the table, I saw each of my siblings with their plates filled with roast potatoes, chicken, parsnips, the works. On my plate, my mum had placed a Crunchy and a Snickers bar. I finally began to realize the depth of my fate. I didn't want chocolate. I wanted a roast dinner. I wanted peas and potatoes and gravy and delicious savory things. "Mum," I said, "please can I have what everyone else is having?" "No," she replied curtly. "You are having chocolate. That's what you wanted, so that's what you're having. Forever." The last word hit me right in the doom sense. Only chocolate? Forever? No more spaghetti? No more roasts? What is this? How can this be allowed? Surely this wasn't right. Feeling a little tearful, I sat and ate my Crunchy in silence. I didn't touch the Snickers. The next day was Saturday. I wasn't feeling so good and my stomach was aching a bit too. And then, my dad dropped the nuclear bombshell that would finish me off. He took us all to McDonald's! Now, back in those days in England, McDonald's was somewhere you went as a really special treat. Our family certainly couldn't afford it normally, so it was a once-in-a-blue-moon event to go there and eat. And you can guess what happened, of course. Everyone got their choice of burgers and food except me. I got another Mars bar. I didn't want it. I didn't like it. I didn't want to see another Mars bar as long as I lived. I wailed at my parents, "Please, can I have McDonald's? I don't want a chocolate bar." But my parents were unrelenting in their dedication to the revenge. I cried and I stomped and I fumed and I raged. But they ignored my desperate pleas, taking me outside to calm down when it began to worry the other customers. I didn't eat my chocolate bar. That evening, I was miserable. I was hungry, fed up, and sick of chocolate. The very sight of it made me feel nauseous, and I was thoroughly sorry for myself. I miserably trudged into the kitchen that evening in tears. "Mum," I said, "I'm sorry. I really am. I don't like chocolate anymore. Please, can I have something normal to eat?" My mum examined me for a moment, and I guess she decided I'd learned my lesson, and made me a big bowl of soup and toast. Despite being a cheap brand cup of soup, it was one of the best soups I'd ever tasted. After that, a funny thing happened to me. I couldn't stomach even the sight of a chocolate bar for 2 years. I don't think I actually ate another one for about 3 years after that event. Her revenge worked better than I expect even she had hoped. And I'll never forget it either. To this day, I don't like things like chocolate cakes or chocolate desserts. I can eat a chocolate bar if I need to, but I just don't enjoy it. My sweet tooth was gone for good. Good one, Mum. And our last story is posted by My5T3 Ryan, titled, "When You Scam the Scammer with Police." This isn't really my story, but it's my brother's. However, since we're very close siblings, he asked for my help to get the upcoming revenge, and this is how I know this story so well. This happened a couple of years ago when my brother was selling his brand new laptop he worked for shortly after he graduated college, with a degree in computer sciences. He's a smart man. Anyways, he posted his new laptop on OfferUp, seeing as how the company that just hired him said they'd buy him an even newer computer because every employee needs this specific one and the company provides it for them. So he gets a couple of offers, all lowballing him of course. It's brand new and barely used, so he's not having it. But this one guy, we'll call him A-Hat, doesn't even make an offer, just asks if my brother uses Venmo, the money exchange app. At the time, my brother and I both used it to pay each other for phone bills, and whatever else someone might owe the person. It's pretty useful. So, since we trust the app, he responds yes. The guy says he'll Venmo the full amount he was asking for right then and there. This is a 2015 MacBook Pro, and it's around March of 2016, so this model is still one of the best on the market at the time. Worth almost $2,000 in fact. My brother was selling it for $1,500. To get $1,500 of the $2,000 would have been amazing for him, seeing as how no one is going to buy his laptop at full price from OfferUp. My brother is stoked. He agrees, contacts the guy on Facebook, makes the transaction, and meets up with him to give the laptop to him once Venmo notified him and said that A-Hat has paid you $1,500. My brother is satisfied and moves on with his life. Later, the next few days, he notices that Venmo never put the money into his bank account and that the app no longer said the money was paid to him. He called Venmo to ask them why, and they said that the funds bounced. He already gave the laptop to A-Hat. My brother is furious. He went off on them about why they would even have the app say the funds are available when they don't even know for sure. They told him it's a family and friends app to repay for little things, which only ticked him off more because that's just a stupid way to say, "Sorry, we lost your money we said we had for you." So my brother tried to fix it himself. He tried contacting A-Hat to see if it was just a simple mistake on his end. Wouldn't you know, A-Hat deleted his profile on OfferUp and blocked him on Facebook. Just so you know, you don't just get a degree in computer science for free. My brother is one smart guy. He asked his co-workers at his job if they were also selling a computer that they bought since the company bought them all laptops. Some were selling theirs too, and he asked if they were using OfferUp. One said that he was, and my brother wanted to know if anyone had asked him if he used Venmo instead of making an offer. At first he was confused as to how my brother knew that. He said the first response he got to his post was from someone asking if he used Venmo. His co-workers never heard of Venmo before and just ignored it and waited for another offer. It all started to make sense to my brother now. This guy was scamming people of their stuff, very expensive stuff, and turning around and selling it even cheaper for a profit. So, my brother sets up a little trap. Enter little brother, me. I just got out of the Marines and was attending college when my brother dropped this whole story on me. I was ticked. No one messes with my brother like that. So I'm already on board to get this dude. So the plan was simple. I make a post on OfferUp for the same laptop at a similar price and wait for one, and only one, response. Do you use Venmo? I was skeptical at first. My first thought was, there is no way this guy is dumb enough to use the same line in every scam. But thank God he was. Not even 20 minutes after I posted on OfferUp, there it was. Do you use Venmo? I quickly text my brother with a simple, got him, and he tells me exactly what to say to set up this meeting. I get out of school, and we head over to the meeting together. On the way he's asking me, should we just teach this dude a lesson? I mean, you know exactly how to mess someone up, right? They taught you that in the Marines, right? I've never seen my brother this ticked about anything before. But I'm on board all the way, and I told him, well, duh. But is it worth going to prison over? I mean, I'll definitely do it, but this might bite back at us. Someone had to talk at least a little sense. My brother hearing that calmed down a little, and thought it might be the best to get the police involved. So we Googled where the nearest police station is to the meeting place, and I couldn't believe it. A-Hat lived right next to a police station. You can't make this up. So we went into the police station and told them the whole story, showed all the evidence we had on our phones, and said we already had a meeting set up, and just want to bring him in and get the property back. They were surprisingly helpful. I didn't think that they would be that quick to help us, but they didn't even hesitate. However, they told us they couldn't go along due to personal involvement, but they will have 2 detectives handle it so no one gets into a physical confrontation. But we persuaded them to let us ride along, so they know that they got the right guy. The Revenge. The time to meet had finally arrived. My brother is with one detective camped up on the street in a sleek black car with all tinted windows that just screamed, "I'm a cop," while I'm with the officers in a patrol car down the opposite side of the street. I told the cop about my service and I can help if needed, but he insisted I stay in the car. I told him, obviously, if he is in trouble, I'm gonna help. Which he smiled and said that he understood. Meanwhile, the other detective is waiting patiently for the A-Hat. A-Hat sends me a text saying, "Sorry, I can't meet up, I don't have enough money." To which I think, oh crap, we're losing him. We didn't just go to all this trouble getting the police involved to back out now. Heck no. So I respond with, "I can accept a payment plan. Half now, half later since I'm already here." I'm so goddamn glad. This guy is a bloody idiot. How much more obvious can a trap be? He agrees and sends me to what I assume is a fake amount of $650 of the agreed $1,300 and comes strolling out of his apartment, head held high like he's about to make the biggest payday ever. I heard over the radio from the detective who's waiting for him, "Got visual, blue shirt, camo shorts." Making contact. The silence between those 2 phrases was deafening, but as soon as we heard making contact, the cop I'm with floors it from our position. He flips the lights on, zips past 5 cars, and sees the dude standing in front of the detective, making small talk. He jumps out and grabs the dude's arms and puts them behind his back and starts repeating himself, "Don't fight back, don't make this harder for yourself." Over the radio, the detective says, "Detained." A-Hat goes bright white and is so confused and scared I almost crap myself laughing. The sleek black car my brother is in drives by and I hear over the radio, "That's him." It was my brother. He was so pumped our plan actually worked. Shortly followed by the detective he was with, 100% confirmation, make the arrest and bring him in. They were actually really surprised at how well we set this up for them and how smoothly it went. They didn't have to do anything but show up and make the arrest. Back at the station, A-Hat is being questioned by police. Meanwhile, my brother is like, "I just want my stuff back." So the cops raided the A-Hat's apartment and forced the A-Hat to give back my brother's $2,000 laptop. Luckily, he still had it, but we later learned that it was for sale on A-Hat's new OfferUp account. Afterwards, the police told my brother since he got this stuff back, there's not much else they can do except give him a citation and let the court system handle the rest. My brother sat back and thought about it for a second, and he would not accept that. During the questioning, he opened the door to the questioning room to find the detective and officers all turning to the door ready for a fight, then relaxing when they saw it was just him. Apparently, you don't want to just barge in unannounced. They don't like that. But he asks the detective to talk for a second. My brother goes over to the evidence one more time and literally shows him that 3 times in 1 week, the A-Hat was scamming people. 1, him, 2, his co-worker, who luckily didn't fall for it, and 3, me, the setup. There's no way this guy hasn't been doing this for a while. The detective agreed with my brother that it's blatantly obvious that this guy has a system in place, and they decided to do more digging. Last I heard, A-Hat owes $30,000 in stolen goods and is serving time in prison. I don't know for how long, but it felt so good to see the satisfaction on my brother's face. Hey guys, this is a long episode, but I really hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what you think of it in the comments, and I'll get back to you. Anyway, there is actually this time now a link in the comments, and you can go check out my second channel. I'll be posting there soon. See you then. Bye.